All right, there. Okay. So always remember that when we do proposal writing, it should be persuasive proposal. So we'll be able to gain funding and support for new projects and grant programs. This is gonna be very technical, so please bear with me. Okay. Um, I will be presenting to you the last part of my presentation. It's about creating first draft, revising, editing, and creating final draft. Last presentation, I was able to present to you about the pre-writing. If you will be able to remember, in pre-writing, we should have this idea map, a brainstorming that you and your team should group together, which should always be consist of different departments, so you will be able to gather all the ideas that you can come up based on the criteria application provided by the grantor. Okay, so when you have this brainstorming, you'll be able to have the project name and all the elements that you need. Okay, so our example project name is Online Training for Volunteers. Okay, now we go to drafting. So the drafting stage is where you will start to organize your ideas to tell the story you want to tell. So to start, you need to take the ideas from your idea map and assemble them as a response to each grant application element. So you don't need to worry about writing complete sentences or using correct grammar at this point. Just make sure the information is organized so that it flows well and you have included all important details from the idea map. The next thing is the revising stage. So in rewriting or rearranging sentences to make sense and make changes and improvements to word choice in the rough draft. So start this process by reading through your first draft and transforming pieces of information into full sentences. And then next, review what you wrote and add, arrange, remove, and replace text accordingly. So look out for these aspects during your revision. Now, I have these some examples, like when you do your organization, you ask yourself, does the information flow? Is it easy for someone without knowledge of the project or program to follow? Um, is it easy to understand? The next one is active statements. So ask yourself again or your team, is the grant proposal written in active voice with short or strong active statements? So we have an example here. Example, the online training will be delivered to 135 volunteers. So you can use or rephrase the word by, we will train 135 volunteers using online learning. Another thing is you need to choose word choice. So, do you use the same words over and over again? If so, consider changing some of them. So sometimes, when you do proposal writing, when you do your words or statements, there are words that you um, use it again. So perhaps you need to rephrase it. And jargon. So do you use jargon in the grant? So example, volunteers will be onboarded to their assignment. Onboarded, is it easy to understand this word? Or perhaps you can use volunteers will begin their volunteer assignment. So this statement, this word is more easier to understand. The next is details. So details are important to help the funder and reader understand the project or program. Example, volunteers will complete the online training, but you can use better statement like volunteers will complete the online training using computers, tablets, or smartphones. Next is the editing. Okay, editing is an important stage in the writing process and is best done by a professional. if professional editing is not an option, try to find someone with strong writing skills to edit for you or the author. Um, Make sure to check your document for the following information: repetition, clarity, grammar, punctuation, spelling, or typos. In my previous organization, we have a staff. The organization hired a certain staff who had a strong writing skills or communication skills, because not all have the talents or skills in writing. So it's best if you have a staff who can actually do the writing, to do your proposal writing. And make sure your data statements are correct. If you're using someone else's research, make sure you indicate where the data come from in your proposal. Next, and the last, is creating the final draft. So after you have completed the editing stage, have others read your proposal before finalizing your draft. This will help you with your proposal. Everyone responsible for implementing the project or program. So 2 or 3 people who are familiar with your organization but do not know every detail or are not directly involved in the project or program. This might help when they read your proposal, and then perhaps through that you can actually repeat the drafting, revising, and editing phases of the writing process. So if you have other staff who can read your proposal but they don't know the detail, might as well do that so that they can give you ideas or comments on your proposal. Okay. Now, this is the thing that we need to know. The common proposal writing mistakes. Okay. Sometimes, because there's a deadline to submit your proposal, you tend to disregard the most important thing that you should do. So I hope that this will give you an idea so you will be able to do these common proposal writing mistakes. So number one is not following instructions. Most grant proposals or application have instructions, so criteria that must be met and a list of questions to answer. Many applications are denied because they did not follow instructions. Show how they met the criteria or answer the questions. Make sure you follow the instructions, meet the criteria, and answer all of the questions. Um, there are some organization, they have a system or they have a database where they can send you a link, and there you can answer some questions that they need. Make sure to provide detailed information and answer all the questions, because that is what they need in order for them to know if you met the requirements. The next is budget does not match the narrative. So if your proposal includes staff doing something they have never done before, but your budget does not include a line item for staff training, that is a mismatch. If you say you will work with 250 new people from the community, but your budget only covers 50 people, that is a mismatch. So always review your budget to make sure amounts are consistent throughout the proposal and that it accurately reflects the scope of the work you will do. Um, the budget is very important as well. So make sure if you need to purchase a new equipment, a desktop, a laptop, a printer, add it on your proposal. Another one is target group is not clearly defined. So this is another common proposal writing mistakes. Um, there's a statement that is very vogue. So it says, we will work with local populations that are not currently reached by other organizations. So this is too generic. So when you actually target a group, you should clearly define your target group based on demographics, based on geographic areas, and other factors that will explain the context. Specific needs and situation. Show how your proposal addresses the target group's specific needs and overcome barriers or current challenges. Sometimes um, the grantor would actually see your target groups. Are they youth? Are they women? What ages? Are they ethnic? So you need to include that in your proposal. Next is lack of plan. Okay, many times a clear plan is missing in the proposal that shows how you will use the funding to achieve objectives and results. Let's say you put this, or you put this statement on your proposal. We will use this funding to develop an online training, train disaster relief volunteers, and then they will be deployed when needed. So it is not a proper plan. So in order to show that you have a proper plan, you need to actually develop the online training and measure its effectiveness. How you will recruit the volunteers who will take the training, how you will verify they are ready to volunteer, and how you will deploy them when they are needed. So those are the plans that you can include in your proposal. Okay. The next is the funders fund solutions to problems, not activity. So I'll say it again. Funders fund solutions to problems, not activity. So not activity. So recognize that funders, they do not fund people or items. They fund solutions to problems. The problem you are solving should begin with the description of your project. So for example, our project is online training for volunteers. Okay. And should wrap up with your project or program summary. It should be clear how each activity you describe in your proposal and will address the problem you are trying to solve. So let's say that remember from my first presentation, we identified the description. So you need to describe the problem, how you will solve it. And what is the problem? You need to need to train and deploy volunteers faster and reduce training costs. So how you will resolve the problem? Convert existing face-to-face training to online learning. Okay. So remember, um, the grantors, they are the one who provides funding. The grantee, they receives funding. And grant proposal, this is the nonprofit shows that they can meet the requirements. So you can apply more grants as much as you like. This will actually give you a chance of receiving a funds. I think that's it. I'm done. Thank you so much for listening.